growing concern for American voters this morning about the president's handling of the economy. From some farmers, the concern is existential. Here with me now is Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins. Secretary Rollins, thank you so much for being here. I want to start with those falling economic numbers for President Trump in our new poll out this morning. He just hit the lowest approval on the economy ever, including his first term. 2/3 of Americans, roughly, disapprove of his job on tariffs. What does this say about his economic strategy?
Well, Dana, first of all, thank you so much for having me on again, and really appreciate the time. So I think the first and most important thing that is really relevant to today is this president has never, ever governed by poll. And I just saw those same numbers, too, so I haven't had a chance to dig in. But the second thing is that there are 100 different polls that say 100 different things. At the end of the day, President Trump is resolutely focused on ensuring that we are realigning the American economy to put Americans first. And again, he's never worried about this poll yesterday or that poll tomorrow. He has a vision, and I saw it working with him in the first term, see it again the second term, that we have to put America first. And as the Secretary of Agriculture, I have now seen firsthand how our products and our people are treated around the world. And it's just time to realign that. So that's what he's doing. And really, I think that we're really excited about what this means for the future, even if there's some uncertainty today.
Well, you mentioned uncertainty, and I understand, what you're saying about the polls. But what the new CNN poll and others like it reflect is uncertainty and also pain, and people are pretty upset and worried, concerned about their economic situation.
Right. Well, I think there's a couple of things to note here. The first is this, that in the first 100 days, which we're about to mark this week, I think, the first 100 days, there's been a 95% decrease in illegal border crossings. Number two, inflation has come down, even if just a little bit, but for the first time since the last Trump administration. So border security, bringing the cost of goods down. Number three, law and order and arresting terrorists. 74 terrorists have been arrested in my world, in agriculture, and making America healthy again. We've had a lot of accomplishments, energy, et cetera. That while we're talking about the economy, Dana, to your question, we are in that time of uncertainty, but the prices and costs for the average American consumer are on their way down, while at the same time, so we've got $7 trillion that has been basically promised to reshore back into America for jobs, for Americans, et cetera, as we're realigning the government. So again, I believe that poll is just one snapshot, perhaps, of one day that may not even be entirely accurate. But we, again, are convicted and resolute on this plan. We move forward. We've got 100 countries that have, approached us for retrading and trade renegotiations. And what that means for the American people is real certainty and real prosperity moving forward.
So let's talk about that. I do just want to say, because during the 2024 campaign, the price of eggs got a lot of attention. They're now about $6 a dozen. So it's still pretty high. But let's look forward, Secretary Rollins. You said that there are, 100 deals that are almost in the works. The president told Time magazine, quote, "I have made 200 deals." He didn't give us any details about what those could be, what countries he's talking about. Has he actually inked any trade deals, and with whom?
Well, Dana, first of all, let me address the eggs because that's an important point. So when we took over, when the president was sworn in, the price of eggs had increased 237% under the last administration. I mean, obviously food under the last administration, the average increase was 25 to 30%, but eggs specifically. And I know I've got a bunch of kids and a big family, and a lot of Americans are trying to feed their family. Eggs are so important to that, and as they're increasing that significant amount, that was a big issue. issue.
Yeah.
The president jokes that on day one, everyone's yelling at him about the price of eggs. He's like, I just got here. But we unveiled a 5-point plan a little over a month ago. And you mentioned the numbers, but when you look at the wholesale cost of eggs, which drives the retail cost, the retail will follow soon. The actual wholesale cost of eggs is down 58% in the last 6 weeks. So other parts of the country, we've seen a significant decline in the retail cost. Some parts of the country, it has not followed yet, but it's coming. So I think that's an important point to make.
Okay, let's focus on the
trade
deals.
And on the deals. Yes, for sure. On the deals, we have 100 countries that are knocking on the door. I believe, I'm not in the room, I'm not negotiating the trade deals, but my understanding is we should have several this week that are coming forward that are very, very close. China is a very important one. Every day we are in conversation with China, along with those other 9,900 countries that have come to the table. Many countries have already flown to Washington and are meeting with Secretary Lutnick, meeting with Secretary Bessent, meeting with our USTR, Jameson Greer, and there is a tremendous amount of progress on all fronts that we'll see again more this week.
You said that there are talks with China every day. Who are the talks with and at what level? Because the Chinese are saying that's not true.
Well, according to our team in Washington, the conversations are ongoing regarding multiples of trade, but here multiples of the trade goods that are coming out and going in. But the bottom line with China is this: they need us more than we need them. They need our money. They need our markets, they need our consumers, and all of the above. So the president has been, I believe, exactly correct. I mean, he is the ultimate deal maker. You know, it's a time where we've got to hold China accountable. And in agriculture, year upon year, decade upon decade, our goods have been taken advantage of. The trade disparity, the non-trade tariffs on top of the tariff numbers are insane, whether it's Argentina or China or Brazil or the UK. I could go country by country with you and just talk about how they treat our beef, what they do with our pork, how our soybeans are taken advantage of. And that's my world, right? The agriculture world. But it's true across all lanes of our industry.
And on that note, I want to stick with your world of agriculture, because you said China needs the U.S., but there are some indicators that they're looking elsewhere, specifically when it comes to farming. They dramatically cut back on buying U.S. soybeans, instead turning to Brazil and Argentina. China is planning to purchase less U.S. pork, down 72% in just a week. So at least in the short term, it is obviously hurting American farmers. What are they supposed to do now?
Well, listen, the farmers, no one supports President Trump more than our farmers and ranchers in our rural communities. And you're right, our soybean farmers, some of our row croppers, some of our pork, et cetera, they certainly are they're more in the crosshairs than a lot of our other agriculture industry. But for the most part, every farmer I've talked to says we understand this and we are with you. And we also know that President Trump will ensure that if there are significant economic damages, that just as in the first term under the China deal phase 1, that we will be, the harm will be mitigated. And so we're already preparing for that. I don't think we're going to need it, but if we do, it will be there. But Dana, to answer your question, the bottom line is this. We are opening up and expanding markets across the world. I'll be in the UK. I'll be in Vietnam. I will be in Japan. I will be in Brazil. I will be in Peru. This is all in just the coming months. That in the last administration, we went from a $0 trade deficit when President Trump left for agriculture to an almost $50 billion trade deficit after the Biden administration on agriculture. There just wasn't much effort around the world to open these markets up. J.D. Vance was just in India. We see them as a massive trading partner moving forward.
So
you know,
you
if we
see
can come
that
to the right
there
resolution
will
in
be
the right
deals.
terms.
So you see there will be deals with other countries, perhaps, to make up for whatever the problems are with regard to China?
It is going to be a new era of market expansion around the world, and our team is so committed to that. So I think we fix a lot of what's wrong with the China and the Brazil, et cetera, but we also open up new markets. I mean, countries are knocking on our door right now. They want our goods. Our agriculture products are the best in the world. They're the most productive. We feed not only our country, we feed the world. They're 100% safe. And so that's what a lot of these countries are asking for, and that's what our incredible team in Washington is moving toward.
Before I let you go, and Trump 1.0, when the farmers were hurting, with the first round of trade negotiations with China, there was a bailout from the federal government. Will that happen again?
Right. Well, we will ensure, first of all, the prayer is that that doesn't need to happen. But secondly, if it does for the short term, just as in Trump 1, we are preparing for that. I think it's important to note, though, that we won't really know the consequences really until harvest time, which will be later this summer, early in the fall. But we are watching it and analyzing it every single day, and we're preparing for it. I'm on constant conversations with our friends on the Hill, where the funding comes from, and everyone is committed to ensuring our farmers and our ranchers, which food security is national security. So it isn't just about protecting the farmers and ranchers, it's protecting the great American experiment and the American dream.
Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins, thank you so much for being here this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.